This example shows how we can take a console mode only program like this text-based sine wave generator right here and add Sagebox GUI controls such as these right here in just a few lines of code that helps us develop our console mode program even if we don't keep the controls later. So let's go to the GitHub page, and we can see in the examples we have the console sine wave project. So let's go ahead and open that up in VS Code. In VS Code we have the same directory since this is the repository copy right here. And so let's select the raw project, which is the console mode program, before adding any Sagebox GUI controls. So when we look at the source, you can see it's just 4 lines of code where we first calculate our value, and then we print a number of spaces based on that value and some asterisks, and then we go to our next position based on our period, and then we sleep for a few milliseconds so it doesn't run very fast, and that's it. So when we run it, we get pretty much what we expect. We get a text-based sine wave that we might like to control. The sine wave really represents data that we might be processing, and we'd like to control it. So let's go ahead and add a couple sliders so we can control the amplitude and the period. So let's open up the next project, which is the simple project that just adds a couple sliders and a button. So now when we run it, we have 2 sliders, one where we can control the amplitude and another where we can control the frequency, representing us being able to manipulate data in our text-based program. And then we also have a stop button that we can press just to make it easier to stop or pause the program without having to press Control-C, which is always still available. So if you look at this project, we have the same 4 lines that we had before in our console mode program, but we've added 2 more lines, and one line is the amplitude slider and one line is the frequency slider. So with the amplitude slider, we're just doing a regular slider with the regular range of 0 to 100, but we're using a keyword to set the default to amplitude, which is sitting at 20. And with the frequency slider, we're creating a floating point slider, which is the F and def slider F. And so we set the range with a keyword from 0.1 to 5.0 from the default of 0 to 1.0, and we set the default to frequency, which is at 1.0. And then I also set a button here, and I can use a KW size to set the width of the button, but the way it works is it will determine the width of the button by the text you give it, so I just added spaces to make the stop button a little wider without using the keyword size. So now we can get the amplitude and the frequency by using amp slider get pause and frequency get pause, and I use the floating point version so it returns F32s, and now we have exactly the same 4 lines we had before, and now we also have the line that says if the stop button was pressed, then we can print a message to the console and exit a little more cleanly than using a Control-C. Now with adding 5 lines of code, we've added 2 sliders and a stop button, and now we can control the amplitude and the frequency of the sine wave in our console mode program, and we can just as easily take out that code to remove it if we don't want it in our production program. And the other project I didn't show you just added I think one more line. It added a button that was a pause button, and then a line to look at the pause button and pause the program and resume it if you press the button again. So I encourage you to check that out as well.